movies come out, etc. Those are things that are for me, and those are the things that really can brand you and separate you.
Yeah.
Chasing placements only it can't separate you. It can, and it's a different industry. It's so many ways to get your name out.
Right.
To me, if you want to be anything in this industry, you have to find a way to reach your maximum potential, even if you're, and I don't say just to produce a negative, because some of the best, most influential people focus on production.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you want to just do that, you have to brand yourself the way Metro Boomin is doing it.
Right.
Him and Future, somebody drop, they are the artists, because as a producer, you drive this industry so strong. You want to get to a point to where you are an artist and you can create and build your own sound.
Yes.
Like, just solely waiting, no matter what the artist is, on for somebody to release something or do something, whatever, that will cause stress to your soul.
Oh, yeah.
And so I learned that over time, like, and then there's so many different places where money is actually there and more prevalent than just placement chasing. You'll starve just trying to wait for somebody to put something out. So I wouldn't, it's cool. I would say that definitely should be a thing, and it's always cool to work with an artist, but the biggest thing in anything is a relationship. I think in this industry where, you know, so much stuff is going to technology, the biggest disappointment for me has been the lack of relationship.
Yes.
And that's big. Like, you can have placements with people, and that's cool, and it's not even a knock, but it's almost like, you know, your work is there, you know what I'm saying, your kids have gone off to their college or working for them, but oftentimes, you know, not that you just got to be cool with everybody or this, that, and the third, but I think, especially once you show people how creative you are, once you show people you can do, the biggest thing to me is if you're able to foster a relationship with anybody, you know? And that's, for me, that's what I'm on, because I've learned that there's bigger paydays than just getting a placement.
Yeah, man.
Way bigger paydays.
Yes.
So it's like, sometimes to feed your family, you get this placement, and sometimes, most of the time, just due to how I was brought up in this industry, I'm going to get my money. Right. But there have been some instances where some of the placements you get, people don't even know, like, you're fighting to get your just due with it. And ain't nobody got no time for that. It's so many. So my biggest thing is good energy and good vibes. It's worth it if it has that, but if it doesn't have that, I've seen people get placements with some big artists, but if the artist doesn't pay them, if the artist doesn't shout them out, if the artist doesn't appreciate them, and if their business wasn't done right on the back end, you just got used. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. So my thing is, you have to have those three things in order, and then the placement can be valid. And I can talk all day on that, but it's just more, man. So that gives me another thought, Dan. So that means that if those three things are not intact, that means producers should be educated. Yeah, I think that's and I think there's, you know, we got a lot of producers, but a lot of producers lack the education, business aspect of it. Hey man, look, I think in these last 10 years, I want to say 9-10 years, especially after COVID and things changed, man, I have been more adamant on, okay, I need to make sure, I got to make sure this publishing is straight. I need to see the split sheets. Yeah, for you know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff is important to me now. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and I'm even thinking about, as I get older, man, I don't want, you know, man, look, I got to, maybe I need to stop saying this, but as I get older, I start thinking about, you know, man, you know, I'm getting old. I ain't gonna be around a long time. And I want my kid, I want my family to be straight. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I'm making sure I'm going back, crossing I's and dotting T's and stuff, man, just to be able to know that things are going are on the up and up. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, man, that we have a lot of producers to this day. You still got producers that are not even registered with ASCAP. They don't even know what a writer society is, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, that's a lack of it's a lack of education in there, man, when it comes to that. So of course, if you saying that, so these three things that they need to have intact, that's foreign to a lot of producers. And that's why, like,
the music education is a big piece. So like I say, being a professor at Berkeley, the segue to like that's what I tell
Professor Rhodes.
My students. Yeah. So then like telling my students that like leading with, I try to simulate business situations because you got these talented people that come up there and just, you know, they like, I came from the quote musical streets. You know what I'm saying? Like having to figure it out this, then the third. Like Berkeley is a great place, but their bubble is like, you don't really understand how vital business is.
They green.
How this is. Yeah,
they know how to play.
Yeah, you know how to play. You can be cold at stuff, but business, little things like that. Like I make my students either like ASCAP is free now.
Yeah.
I make them sign up with this. I just to understand those things. And so it's cool to give it to students at Berkeley, that business, but I also enjoy like, you know, just giving people that, you know, even before there was Berkeley, there was, you know, just producers.
Right.
And there was like a lack of education. So now I'm telling you, you can't enjoy the art of this music until you understand the business. I hated it at first.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still learning things every day, especially in this ever evolving, ever changing industry.
Right.
Like, it's so tough. Like, we don't even know what's going on day to day. Like, so you're trying to figure things out. But what I do know is by having my publishing and my writer's numbers and my contacts in place, I'm talking about I've been contacted from people from Sony to Amazon to NBC. Yeah. And it's like they have to get with me on my writers and my publishing clearance.
Right.
And it's cool because it's like I self-publish, so they have to come to me. Right. And that's you know, one of the levels of having your business in order. I'm sure it's me. I need to shake down some money from some other places too. But you know, because it's always something that you like, you know, but I definitely, my publishing, man, and those things are in order. And that's definitely like the writers, artists and music producers 401k. You know, if you're gonna do this and you're not having anything else, like that's the 401k is having your publishing in order.
Yeah. Man, how did the whole Berkeley, how did that adventure even pop off, Jay?
Man, and this is another thing that people got a lot, like doing things, it was a lot of things in the beginning, like my career, what I would have loved for my career was to be directly in a Kanye session, or be directly in a Jigga session, or just be, not even just for placements, but those experiences. Right. I think though they would have been, you know, I've been in some cool sessions. Don't get twisted, but I just think constantly being in those sessions, like if you think of initial dream for your career, I think that would have been great. I think, of course, more placements would have came from it, but just that kind of knowledge and that kind of energy consistently would have been great. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, basically to have the Dr. Dre session that I explained to you happen daily or weekly would have been great. But anyway, I say that to say there are pivots that I took due to that, like, hey, well, I need to go in the back door. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, well, maybe, you know, okay, I can get these placements. It's cool. Well, if this is not going to happen, let me be a music educator. Let me do things on my own that I can control. And so, you know, with writing the book, with, you know, eventually, you know, going on a book tour. Initially, my first teaching job was at Media Tech. Okay. And so, you know, that was cool for a second. I taught music business there. And but then just through other things that I was doing, because I didn't get that direct access, I was like, hey, well, I know film, I know this. Before strong content creation came, I was like, man, let me do House of Beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we filmed that, partnered with Machine Masters at the time. And so getting to the point, I got invited in 2019 to Berkeley's Career Jam. And it wasn't because of my placements. It wasn't because of, you know, some of the things directly musically related. It was because of the content and the IP that I created in House of Beats. Like my friend now, Professor Tim Hall is my boy, but at the time he was in the Berkeley Career Center. He saw this show. He was like, hey, we need to get people like this down to these students. Wow. Because Berkeley was like kind of evolving, and they were going to go like, I'll get to that, but they were evolving in ways. And so House of Beats got me down there at Career Jam. And I just love the vibe. Like, I want to start exposing people from, you know, the inner city, just two things like Berkeley anyway. So, and I'm going to get to that, but it's more like, I went to UNT and eventually ended up coming back to graduate. But when I went to UNT, they didn't have anything that spoke to me, but if I would have known that a Berkeley existed, at least that could have been an option.
Right.
Like, and I think now, my daughter knows that a Berkeley exists and that's where she wants to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was up there and I was like, hey, I've heard of this, but seeing this is a place that I would like to be at, teach, because I was transitioning into things. I'm like, hey, I'm going to produce forever, but some of these branches on my career tree, I would like to strengthen. So I can see myself teaching at Berkeley, especially when I stop just placement chasing and I'm doing a lot of other things. So anyway, that was 2019. Man, they had an extensive list of people that I got to, meet and see.
Yeah.
Their alumni list is crazy. So it was cool.
Yeah.
And so a position opened up a few years later, and I was fit for it. They started a new major IRP, Independent Record Productions. And so it was like I'm learning a lot. Like it's one thing to master a thing. It's another thing to master teaching it. Professors at Berkeley are typically tenured. It's a place where people don't really leave. Some people have been up there 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm a baby. I've been up there a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it's humbling because, we're learning a lot of things about the major. We're knowing, seeing how it's growing. And I think now, but it's been cool. It's been enriching.
Right.
I'm learning every semester. And now took a break this summer to kind of strengthen some things with some of the curriculum, et cetera. But I'm very excited to come back in fall and just really, really dive into that even more.
Right.
But that was an opportunity that presented itself due to some of the things that I was creating and building my own brand.
Right.
And so by doing that, I kind of separated myself. And then I remember in my interview, it was like, I'm on a hiring board for IRP in Berkeley now, and it's an extensive process. So
really?
Now that I know how extensive the process is, for me to be hands down the best candidate at that time meant a lot. And I was only the best candidate due to all of the side roads that I had to travel.
Wow.
So it's cool. I really like it. It's a lot to learn. Like I say, I got a long way to go because teaching, it's like you're learning all the time. Like, some students will really gravitate towards it. Some more. It's just like really trying to figure it out, and then you can't. It's like, but you get better every semester, and I think, by the time I'm as tenured as some of my colleagues, it's just gonna be, get better and better every semester. But I'm thankful to be there, and it's a blessing of opportunity.
My boy, Professor Rhodes.
Yeah, man.
Man, that's good. Man, something else that you mentioned too early on, man, just about how production and filming go together. I deem that to be true, bro. Yeah. Because like even with that's what I do. That's what I do for my church. I do the social media stuff. Yeah. But then I do all the filming for outside stuff that we have going on, man. And I love doing it. Mm-hmm. Like I love doing this stuff, man. I love video editing. Yeah. And I think that's something. Well, of course, it's artistic, but it's artistic, man. But I think that's a serious connection between producers when it comes to with producing and filming. Yeah. So with all that being said, man, let's talk about the director, Mr. Rhodes, Mr. J. Rhodes, the film producer, the filmographer, Mr. Rhodes, man. How did that? And I know it's always been there, but now that you're making movies and stuff, man, how did that all come about? And I know you got your man's Corey, that you run with too, man. But how did that all come about, bro?
Well, when I left DFW Airport, because that's where I learned. I was there for about 6 years. And what's funny is when I was at DFW Airport, I didn't even know about film, but the person that hired me, he was like, hey, music got me that job. Yeah. He was like, hey, you worked a internship here, but if you know a music timeline, you can learn a film timeline. So I got on the job training and I learned how to do film, made a lot of videos that were in the terminals, et cetera. Probably all down now because that's before HD even hit, just like to that degree. But anyway, when I left DFW Airport, I kind of had that film skill, specifically editing, but just the eye for it, but I wasn't using it.
Right.
And so when Corey hit me up, like he was filming and he wanted to do a documentary, but I was like, hey man, how about we shoot a series? And that's when we shot These Beats Ain't Free, I think. But getting to the point, it was more
I
like,
do remember that.
Yeah,
I do remember
it
that.
was like
The These Beats Ain't Free
it was
series.
kind of like, it was like, to me, not on that level, but it was an Atlanta themed show before Atlanta hit.
Yeah.
And of course, it was just not that, like, Donald Glover did his thing, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, he killed
it. But it was just